From injuring a pregnant woman during a hit and run, to fans feeling unsafe with an abuser roaming the streets, here's why Gervonta Davis deserves a bigger prison sentence. The lightweight champion found himself in some serious trouble when he had to stand trial in the Baltimore Circuit Court because of this crazy hit and run back in November 2020. It was Davis's birthday, and you know how it goes when someone's hyped about turning a year older. They want to party like there's no tomorrow. So the man decided to hit up a club, but things took a turn for the worse when Davis ran a red light, like it was no big deal. His fancy 2020 Lamborghini Urus SUV ended up smashing into a 2004 Toyota Solara, and 4 people got hurt in the process, including a pregnant woman. It only got worse when Davis pieced out before the authorities even arrived at the scene. He left all the chaos and wreckage behind and had to face the music for his actions. He pleaded guilty to 4 traffic offenses, and that's not all. Before all of this went down, the guy was already staring at 14 misdemeanor charges. And instead of standing trial like an adult, Tank tried to avoid the consequences. But the judge wasn't buying it and turned down a plea agreement request that would have let Davis off the hook and kept him out of jail. Jair Smith, the pregnant woman involved in the crash, came forward about what really went down, suing Davis because she suffered some serious injuries from the accident, including a messed up knee that she's still struggling with to this day. She poured her heart out in court and said she looked him straight in the eyes that night, begging him to help her out, especially since she was pregnant and needed to get back home to her daughter. But Davis didn't bother and just left the scene. Because of that, fans thought that the original verdict he got was a total joke. They slapped him with a measly 90 days of house arrest, where he gets to chill at Calvin Ford's crib, his coach and trainer. He's also allowed to keep training, aka a boxer's dream. So while anyone else would have been rotting away behind bars, he's out there pumping iron and throwing punches. And as if the house arrest wasn't a slap on the wrist already, Davis also has to do 200 hours of community service, and fans said that's like a drop in the bucket compared to all the harm he's caused. This whole ruling came down less than 2 weeks after Davis had this big win over Ryan Garcia, but Judge Althea M. Handy was not amused and called him out for not apologizing to his victims. It's just 3 little words, "I am sorry." But no, he couldn't even do that, and Judge Handy didn't hold back, saying he's not man enough to apologize. Not even a month has passed, and guess what? He's been thrown in jail after all. Here's the lowdown. Davis thought he could pull a fast one on the system, and he decided to upgrade his living situation, from the regular old house he's staying in to a fancy luxury hotel. And if that wasn't enough, he also moved to a brand new home without even bothering to ask for permission while he's still on house arrest. The Maryland State's Attorney's Office caught wind of his little escapade, and they confirmed the whole thing to the Associated Press. And they were not happy. The judge never gave him the green light for either of those moves, so Handy dropped the hammer on him. She wasn't about to let Davis off the hook for his unauthorized moves, and said he'll have to serve out the remainder of his sentence in none other than the city's jail. Yeah, jail time for Gervonta. His attorney, Michael Tomko, tried to come up with some excuse, claiming that the address Davis gave during his sentencing for the home detention was apparently too small for the boxer and all his security crew. No one was buying it, and an impromptu hearing was called because of Davis's violation of the house arrest terms. And wouldn't you know it, Handy was done, and she didn't move from her decision since no one even asked for her permission for a change in location for Tank's house arrest, putting him behind bars for the rest of his 90-day sentence. Looks like Gervonta's really angry about the whole thing, and he made some serious noise from behind those prison bars. He told one of his buddies to go live on Instagram using his account while he was talking to him on the prison phone. During the live video, Davis didn't hold back and straight up told his fans that Judge Handy's off the rails. According to him, she locked him up just because he bought a property. He even claimed he did everything he could to follow his lawyer's advice. But fans are downright pissed, saying it's just another case of Tank being a complete dummy and that this guy puts all his brainpower into boxing and nothing else. And you know what? They're saying that he deserves this. He was put on house arrest, which ain't tough for a millionaire like him. He's got stacks of cash to throw around and can just dish out some dough and have people bring him whatever he wants, whenever he wants. I'm talking about 24/7 service. Need some snacks? Boom, they'll bring it. Craving a gourmet meal? No problem, it's on the way. The guy can have all his needs met without even stepping a foot outside. And he could have turned his toilet into a freaking nightclub, yet he still messed up big time. But here's the kicker. Even with these legal issues, fans don't think his career is going to be affected. They say he'll be back in the ring early next year, whether he likes it or not. But it's all just a sham, because this dude is one hell of a boxer, but can't stay out of trouble to save his life. Fans brought up how he straight up refused to apologize to the victim in court, and he could have killed someone, yet he's whining about being on house arrest. He got sentenced to train for 3 months, and he's upset about that. At the end of the day, regardless of whose fault it is, fans know that this guy just can't keep his act together. He's got no one else to blame but himself, and honestly, he's lucky he's not getting an even bigger sentence. But Gervonta's completely missing the whole point and said that the judge locked him up for all the wrong reasons. He's got this whole story about why he's behind bars and none of it makes any sense. He said that it's all because he bought himself a fancy new penthouse with a casual $3.4 million. Talk about living the high life. Now, Gervonta thinks that the judge is not too happy about this whole property buying business. He's saying she's crazy, and that's why he thinks he's sitting in jail. He said she wanted him to stay in a measly one-bedroom apartment, and he can't downgrade like that. He couldn't take being cooped up in a one-bedroom apartment and wanted to have his kids visit him, but let's be real here. If you're locked up, seeing your kids ain't gonna happen either way. So this dude couldn't handle the thought of living in a simple one-bedroom apartment, but guess what? Instead of dealing with a little cozy space, he ends up in a place even tighter than that, a jail cell. Fans were shocked, and they had some strong reactions to the whole thing. They said that this guy needs to spend not just the next 2 months, but years behind bars. They're even betting on the fact that he's gonna keep violating his 3-year probation multiple times. But fans aren't just angry, they're glad that this Davis is locked up. They can't wrap their heads around the fact that people actually praise him, since he doesn't just have that hit and run on his crime record, but he also abuses women. Remember what went down at that charity basketball game in Miami? Tank was caught on camera, grabbing a woman by the throat and yanking her out of her seat. The dude is the lightweight champion, and the lady could have seriously gotten hurt. She wasn't just any lady, by the way. The woman he was choking was actually the mother of his own daughter. They got into a heated argument on the sideline before things got physical. Witnesses saw it all go down, saying Davis was dragging the victim to another room by her shirt. And you know what the video surveillance showed? Davis pulling his arm back and then forward, like he was about to hit his baby mama in the face. According to the complaint, the victim provided a written statement that matched up with what went down, and the photos of her injuries were consistent with a strike to the face. That's some serious evidence, and fans are just shaking their heads, saying Davis has the worst track record, and those days he got in jail, well, they ain't enough. They're demanding a longer sentence, because people like him can't just be roaming the streets and putting everyone else in danger. So, from fans feeling unsafe with a domestic abuser roaming the streets, to injuring a pregnant woman during a hit and run, that was why Gervonta Davis deserves a bigger prison sentence.